Howdy folks, Doc here with Last Best Tool. Let's talk extra long screwdrivers. Now there's that old adage of it's better to have and not need than need and not have. And I'd kind of put the extra long screwdrivers, especially in the DIY space, into that category. I don't use them very often, but when I do, I really needed them. Now there are a couple of things about the extra long screwdrivers. First of all, there's the handle. Is it a conventional handle or is there something that has been done differently with it? The length of the shaft. And then the big one is whether or not it's a cabinet screwdriver or a Keystone screwdriver. Now a cabinet screwdriver means that the shaft is the same. It's usually, we're talking about slotted screwdrivers, and the way cabinet came along was it was a radio or electronics cabinet. It wasn't installing, kitchen cabinets. But anyway, if it's if the blade width throughout the actual machining of the blade is exactly the same width as the shaft, then it's a cabinet screwdriver. If that changes, in other words, it's flared out and then goes back in towards the bit tip, then it's called a keystone. And a lot of times what you had to do with the long screwdrivers, and it was pretty common with Phillips because you didn't usually flare or reduce, it was just exactly the same size, the bit was the same size as the shaft, is you needed to drop this through a long hole that was pretty much as wide as the fastener. So that's why a lot of electronic screwdrivers or what are called cabinet screwdrivers are simply a very narrow shaft, or the shaft the same size, or a very narrow bit, the shaft and the bit are the same size. So one of the things is, I'm going to go a little history here. I've had this snap-on screwdriver for a long time. This is a really beefy, strong shaft up here. But originally this had a tiny handle. In fact, it was a handle similar to this, which was outrageous. A little teeny-weeny handle on an old snap-on tool. And I had it finally swapped out because the handle was cracking and I got to choose which handle and put a green one on. But I don't think I can ever wear this thing out unless I misuse it as a pry bar, simply because it's rarely used and it's so long that to generate, I don't know what I would end up needing that much force on the end that I might damage this. However, something like this has been replaced. You can see it's an older handle but a newer shaft, and that is because the smaller cabinet one, a little less metal up there. I have messed this up. In fact, this one's, I think, got some dings in it. This is actually a lot easier to damage, and it can just simply be swapped out. Now the price on something like this, it's surprisingly either low for snap-on or high. One like this is about 62 bucks, something like that. But then it starts dropping pretty rapidly down into things in the $20 range. So you can get these, but you could also spend, I don't know what this is now, $7 or $8 on Amazon. I got these, I think I overpaid. I paid close to 10 bucks for them. Now they're like $8.99 plus a coupon. If you're interested. But anyway, the reason I chose these was more for to see how they compared to others. It's a kind of a low-use tool. But also, of the over 600 reviews, 80% of them were 5-star. That's not the case. If you go through a lot of the extra long screwdriver reviews on Amazon, they're all over the place. People are busting tips, bending, things. If you eliminate all the shipping issues, well, okay, there are three negative reviews with these. 2 of them are that the tips aren't as magnetic or at all like the advertisement said, and frankly, you can fix that yourself, or use a screw holder if it fits. But also, one guy got 2 slotteds instead of slotted in a Phillips. That's the entire negative review, and then it jumps up to 3-star, and then mostly are 5-star. So I tried them out, and they're actually pretty good. It does say chrome vanadium. It's not S2 steel or anything like that. But anyway, going back to the snap-on, this was one of my favorite screwdrivers. I have had this forever. I've had the handle replaced once. I've had the shaft replaced. And then finally the whole thing replaced. But otherwise, this is my favorite screwdriver right here. One of them, I guess. I actually had an older one. I wish you can see that these have dimples. I really wish a lot of the snap-on screwdrivers had those. That just comes in so handy. But as you can see, look at this. Somewhere there it is, the snap-on. These are electronic screwdrivers. Both of these are a little bit of a Keystone. They're not fully electronic screwdrivers like cabinet screwdrivers. That's where this one came in. But if you look, it's about the same width. So just something to think about. It isn't just if it's the same size as your shaft, but also how thick is that shaft. Usually these are about 1/4 inch. That's sort of the industry standard for some of these. But anyway, what I'd like to do with the long ones, one of the things I like to do with the long ones is get a lot of standout off of the work I'm doing to allow like light into the area. If you've got a shorter screwdriver handle you're working with, you might have your hand or the handle blocking it, but when I use something really long, and I've done this with, I've talked about this with using extensions as well, especially on drills, is to get everything quite a ways away, so then I can light up or illuminate the area, or even maybe get my hand in or be able to manipulate it, you know, in whatever area, because I'm so far away from it, versus trying to work with the screwdriver, you know, right up front, right close to it. So they do come in handy even when you don't need the length. But anyway, those are extra long screwdrivers. If you want the big ones, you know, a set of these, that's another thing. They usually come in a Phillips and a standard, or a slotted. Now the Phillips comes in very handy. A lot of people don't need the slotted anymore unless you're doing old radio work, or you may be trying to get into, you know, something that has another kind of a fastener like a hex, but it also has a slot in it. Sometimes they can help there, down in an engine bay or something. But overall, the Phillips comes in most handy today, I think. However, a lot of these are designed as slotted still, so there must be a need. I find that it's kind of a side note here. Sometimes I want to have something long like this, but it doesn't fit in my tool bag. So here is a little foreshadowing of where I might be going with an idea, and that is with an extra long Vito bag. I'll get there. I don't want to spill too much about it until I have a chance to use it more. But anyway, that's when you need a place for these really long screwdrivers in your toolkit. If you've got a favorite extra long one, let me know. I'm always interested. This is kind of a narrow niche area, once you get into the longer shaft screwdrivers. But they also work great for a lot of other things. And if you can get a good magnetized tip that you can trust, here's how this one arrived. You can see it's not all that magnetic. There is paint, as far as I can tell, on the tips. I've really pushed this kind of hard. You can see there's some wear on it. I was really grinding into a few screws just to see how sturdy this, or how durable this is. And yeah, I think it's not going to last forever. It's a $10, actually it's a $5, or maybe a $3, $3.50 screwdriver. But if I shove this on, it does stay. So this definitely will work, even though I'm not probably accessing the magnetism much. But I can certainly throw it in a magnetizer if that's what I want. And also, if you look, it is narrower than the screw here. That's another thing. Sometimes we get caught up on the narrowness of the shaft, yet the fastener is actually on the large side. But this one's pretty wide here, as you can see. Anyway, that's it for today. Long shafted screwdrivers. It's better to have and not need than need and not have. And with that, Doc out.